When we first begin to study, it feels overwhelming. Wow, there's too much. But don't be discouraged. Just go slowly. Begin at the beginning. When I was maybe 15 years ago, I began to do a 1-month retreat every year. And each year, I took one topic and I meditated on that topic for that month. So you become very familiar with that topic. And we need to think about this, to think about the importance of finding a teacher, to think about having this precious human life, until we get a realization of it. In other words, once we realize that we have this precious human life, Lama Tsongkhapa says, you practice like your hair's on fire. You don't feel that it's okay to abuse your body, to not get enough sleep because we're busy on Facebook or some such thing. It's a tough world we live in right now because there's so much going on. There's so much energy coming, so much information coming. It's sort of mesmerizing. We have to learn to unplug. And especially young people they're really plugged in. Really plugged in. When I did this 3-year meditation retreat. And when I came out of the retreat, now I see even my good friends, my Dharma sisters, who's carrying, the shiny object we talked about last week, carrying her phone. And, we're walking in the woods. So I say, Shasta, put that away. She said, well, I said, turn it off. She says, I need it for my business. And in some ways, that is true. People cancel appointments or want to make an appointment, and you need to have that. But there has to be a balance. We set expectations for our friends, for our colleagues, by being available every moment. Isn't it true? So if somebody if you send an email out or you text someone and they don't text you back in 5 minutes, it's like, hello? I texted you. Did you get my text? No, I don't text. Whatever, you put it out there, right? Somebody's going, ding, that was very poignant. I'm just now learning the sounds. It's wild to go to a restaurant and look around. You don't see people engaged in conversation. You see 3 people at the table and they're all like this. It's bizarre. So whose responsibility is it?
The individual.
Isn't it? We have to determine how it is that we're going to live our life. I'll tell you right now, you cannot go into a deep state of meditation when you have your cell phone on sitting beside you. Even if it's not ringing, there is a piece of your mind, there is a thread that is attached to that. And as long as it's there, there's part of you that's listening. You can't completely let go. And you have to be able to completely let go if you want to see reality as it is. You must. Then how can you change that? How can you set your life up? Because it is the expectation of your colleagues, your friends, your children. How do you change that? What do you say? What do you do? Can you turn your devices off and leave them off for you wake up in the morning, you have a nice cup of tea and you sit on your cushion? Can you leave it and not turn it on? Can you have everything off when you go to bed at night? Can you do that? And can you tell people, I'm not available until 10 o'clock? That's all. And then you have to stick to it, though. You see, if you make exceptions, then it's on. Somehow we're responsible to run our life in a way that's going to be conducive to growing our spiritual awareness. And if we're always tethered to the outside world, never having an opportunity to be within, you're walking in the woods. There's peace, there's inner peace. And you can see around you such beauty. But if you have all your devices pulling you, you don't get to see the dewdrop on the leaf that sparkles like a diamond. There's so much beauty, and we miss it. But we can grow that inner peace. We can grow that beauty. That's where our attention goes. Our attention sees beauty because that's what we're attending to. I said last week, William James, that to which we attend in the moment becomes our reality. If we attend to goodness, we attend to beauty, we attend to joy, we let go of its opposite. We just don't give it any juice. These opposite thoughts are just essenceless. So this is what enlightenment is, purifying and perfecting, right? We're purifying all those thoughts, feelings, emotions, mental images that cause us to suffer, that take us away from a state of peace. That's the definition of a delusion. Something that takes us away from a state of peace. We're not talking about ecstasy. Sometimes, there's this idea that you sit here in a state of complete peace. There's nothing pulling you this way or that way. You're content. That's what Buddhism promises. Okay? We're so stimulated with so much outside stuff that inner peace, maybe it's not enough. We're looking for the good stuff, the really stuff that's really juicy. But in fact, that can't last either. You see? That doesn't last either. It's very interesting to watch. But to know that you can abide in a state of peace, regardless of how much turmoil is going on around you. The fact that the plane was canceled and now you're not going to make your next connection. Sit there and watch what's going on. Watch the minds. You can see it manifesting. People completely freaking out and yelling at the poor people behind the counter. You watch. That's a lack of inner peace. And it doesn't mean that you don't be proactive to make a change where you can. Master Shantideva said, bless me to, it's the serenity, it's just like the serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the courage to accept the things I cannot change, to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's the strength to accept what I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It is like that. We must have the wisdom to know whether or not we can change it, and accept what we cannot change, but not stew in it. You know, we do that stewing. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. I really hate that. I can't stand that. And then we become miserable, completely miserable. Whereas we say, oh, it doesn't mean you like everything. Sometimes we don't get what we want. That's one of the sufferings of samsara. We don't get what we want. And we get what we don't want. I was always when I first read the list, it's all so practical. It's just so practical. Elizabeth mentioned that I only told you 2 of the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And Heather did too. It's terrible when you have an incompletion, isn't it? The first 2 are precious human life and death and impermanence. And the second 2 are karma and the suffering of samsara. So the way Lama Tsongkhapa says, the way he words it in his 3 principal aspects of the path is he says that when you, by contemplating the leisure and endowments, so difficult to find, this precious human life, so difficult to find, and the fleeting nature of this life, reverse the clinging to this life. By contemplating the effects of karma and the miseries of cyclic existence, reverse the clinging to future lives. We said last week that we have different levels of motivation for entering into a spiritual practice. It's not considered a spiritual practice or a dharma practice if it's just, the action is just for the happiness of this life. It can be a virtuous action, but it's not considered a dharma action. It's not considered a spiritual action. So the first level of motivation is to say, okay, I'm going to lose this life. I better be thinking about what's going to happen when it happens. I better be thinking about the next life. So we're motivated to have a positive rebirth. That's the initial level of motivation for spiritual practice. The second level of motivation for spiritual practice is to say, nah, there's no guarantees that I'm going to be, even if I get a nice life, next life, maybe I'll waste it, and then I'm still stuck in this birth, aging, sickness, and death, birth, aging, sickness, and death, and I'm trapped. But now I have this precious human life. Now I have everything in my favor to actualize, to take this mind and be liberated from samsara altogether. So that is the second level. I want to be liberated. I'm going to be free. I'm going to free myself. That's the second level. And the third level is, okay, yeah, I'm going to free myself, but not just for myself. I'm going to free everybody. Because how can you just say, okay, bye-bye. Good luck. I'm out of here. Really, if you think about it, you wouldn't do that. But we cultivate that because we are really at the altar of our own triple gem, me, myself, and I. We have to work on that. We have to transform that mind. And we do that through various practices. Slowly, slowly, my Lama says, slowly, slowly, not to try to have to hurry up. You have a sense of urgency, but you do it in a systematic, okay, now I will do this. Now I will. Little bit every day we practice. So we have these 4 thoughts that turn our mind. We think about how precious it is that we have this life, how amazing it is, really. And then, what are we going to do with it? Because we are going to die. It's almost as if, well, for sure, we don't believe it, right? Oh, everybody dies. Who was it? Some American author. Saroyan, William Saroyan. He said, oh yeah, when it was the end of his life, he said, yes, I know everybody has to die. But I thought in my case an exception would be me. We sort of have that bit of an attitude, right? Yeah, I am, okay, I got it. I am going to die. I understand that I am going to die. But not today. And certainly not tomorrow. And I've got a vacation planned in 6 months. So it's not happening then either. We don't think about it. It's not something that we consciously think, okay, I could die. And when the Lord of Death arrives at your door, you can't say, oh, excuse me, I better check the internet to see what the weather's going to be like. I need to know what I'm going to take with me. It's not happening that way. We're going to be surprised. So we have to be prepared. And we can prepare ourselves, right? Okay, you live a good life, a happy life, and you're kind to others, and you do your practice, and you prepare your mind, knowing that you are going to die. And at the time of death, you can have a peaceful death. And it's going to happen. But we don't talk about it at all in this culture. And we hide it very well, don't we? We hide it really, really well.
We need to.
Yes, we do need to. But we do hide it. And consequently, it's shocking not just for ourselves when we meet our death, but it's shocking for all of those who are attached to us. And all those that we're attached to. It's not only that we're going to die, but so's your beloved, and possibly your children before you. It's understanding what that means. What does it mean that death is definite? If we know that's true, how do you treat someone in this moment if you know that you may never have an opportunity to say, I love you again? They may never hear that again from you. Do you walk away from a relationship argument? Or do you say, wait a minute, we need to think about this. We need to love one another. Do you have a grudge against someone in your life who you feel has harmed you? Oh, then you need to go and ask for forgiveness. It's a powerful action to clear your mind from anything, the wrongdoings in your own life, the things that you have done to harm others, the ways that you have felt others have harmed you. How do you come to a resolution? Because when you die, that's going to pop up. So you want to make everything smooth, a smooth transition. Have no regrets. It's not difficult to say you're sorry, to accept the blame yourself. It feels monumental because we're holding on to our triple gem, me, myself, and I, as some concrete one that needs to be respected and loved and honored and obeyed. But in fact, she who must be obeyed doesn't exist, particularly in the way we believe she does. So I'm just these 5 aggregates: form, feeling, consciousness, compositional factors, and discrimination. Almost forgot one. We're in a constant state of change. Our body and our mind. We are in a constant state of change. But what we do is we fix it. We solidify it. We concretize it, Lama used to say. And we make it real. We reify it. And then we defend it. But if we can accept that I'm just this constantly changing entity with a mind that is constantly changing, and what I'm trying to do is cultivate attitudes, feelings, emotions that are beneficial for my own happiness and the happiness of all those around me. Then, if we see it as constantly changing, we see this impermanent nature of all things, then when Grandma's vase breaks, it's not the end of the world. Because it was meant to break. It was made to break. It's all compounded phenomena are impermanent. And so am I. So it's all meant to disintegrate. But we, it's so great. So great. And then we forget it, We leave it. And we're heartbroken because we lost it. But it's just a thing that's meant to be lost, meant to go away, meant to leave our life. And everything is going to go through our fingers like that. Lama Yeshe used to say, enjoy as much as possible, dear, without grasping. And he did enjoy. He was one joyful man. He was an unbelievably joyful being. But he wasn't attached. That's the difference. So I'd like to do another meditation. And I'll try to speak up so you can hear me. Just about 5 minutes, okay? Not too long. It's important when we meditate to relax. It's not a matter of really trying hard to get it, where we tense up and we're really trying to be there to hold it. The more you relax, the deeper your concentration and the greater your ability to be present. So in a state of deep relaxation, just letting go, letting go, letting go. And take a few minutes to focus on the sensation of your breath at the tip of your nose. Letting the body breathe naturally, as it will. Sometimes deep, sometimes shallow. Whatever the body wants, let it be. Turn your awareness to awareness itself, watching whatever is arising, like watching the stage rather than the players that walk across it. Like watching the sky and letting the clouds pass without following them. A vast open spaciousness. Imagine that your awareness goes to the infinitude of space. It's bright. Simply being, doing nothing. Relax into that being. Now allow your awareness to begin to contract back, coming back into the room. Feel the energy coming back into your body. And just be. Imagine how wonderful it would be to live in a world filled with joy, where everyone you meet would inspire you with their generosity and their love. Our goal is to live in such a world. And where we don't find it, to help create it. So let us dedicate the energy that we have created by coming together this evening to discuss this path to enlightenment. That we might manifest such a world. And the love and joy and peace that we have in our heart, this wish to be of great benefit to others, may it always only increase and never diminish. And make a strong determination that now I'm going to do my very best, as much as possible, to remain mindful, to grow my wisdom and compassion, and to share with others the very best of my divine wisdom energy. And you can just imagine now that the light that lives, this light of love that lives at your heart, just imagine that light shining out in all 10 directions and touching all beings with your love. See them receive it and experience joy. And then bring it back and let it sit there in your heart, keeping you warm and happy and in love, ready to share it at a moment's notice. And thank you all very much. Oh yes, the prayer that I gave you a transmission of the entire path to enlightenment last week, the prayer, which I also emailed you, maybe.
I got it.
You all got it, okay. Well, maybe you got it twice.
That was my fault.
Anyway, if you got it twice, great. But if you want a hard copy, if you didn't receive it, and David printed some out, and they're on the table over there. But I wanted to mention one thing, that Dharma materials, prayers, books, are sacred objects and should be treated with the utmost respect because they save your life. So don't walk over them or put them on the floor. Hold them up. Put them on your bookcase, whatever you do, but treat them with the kind of respect they deserve. Okay? Good. Did you have a question? No. Okay. Very good. Thanks so much. Enjoy.
I have too many questions.
Yes, right, I know.
Thank you. You're
Yes,
such
you're
a blessing.
Thank you. You're welcome, dear.